Hi, my name is Caitlin and you're watching another episode of Water Safety Watch and Learn. Today we'll be learning all about Australian Indigenous Dreamtime stories and inland waterways. But first, we'll be reading The Rainbow Serpent by Dick Ruffsey. So make sure you're sitting comfortably as we listen to this Australian Indigenous Dreamtime story. The Rainbow Serpent by Dick Ruffsey, with permission of HarperCollins Publishers. Far off, in Dreamtime, there were only people. No animals or birds, no trees or bushes, no hills or mountains. The country was all flat. Gurialla, the great rainbow serpent, stirred and set off to look for his own tribe. He travelled across Australia from south to north. He reached Cape York, where he stopped and made a big red mountain called Narrabulgun. He listened on the wind and heard only voices speaking strange languages. This is not my country. The people here speak a different tongue. I must look further for my own people. Gurialla left Narrabulgun and his huge body made a deep gorge where he came down. He travelled north, stopping every evening to listen on the wind for his own people. He travelled for many days, and his tracks made the creeks and the rivers as he journeyed north. Have you seen a creek or a river before? What do they look like? What could you find there? Travelling north from Narrabulgun, Gurialla made two more mountains. One of them, Narradunga, was long and made of granite. The other, which had sharp peaks and 5 caves, was called Gormungan. His next resting place was at Fairview, where he made a lily lagoon called Minilinka. Gurialla turned his great body round and round, but the ground was too hard to make it deep. Do you know what a lagoon is? A lagoon is a big body of water, a bit like a lake. One day, he heard singing on the wind. He heard, "Ah, ah, ah." "Those are my people singing," said Gurialla. "They are holding a big bora." He travelled north with the singing coming louder and louder. At the meeting place of the two rivers, Gurialla found his own people. They were dancing and singing. He crawled up quietly and lay in hiding to watch them. He watched for a long time. Then he came out and was welcomed by his people. He told them, "You men are not dancing properly, and you are not dressed properly. Watch me, and I will show you the correct way." Gurialla showed the men how to fit a lump of beeswax on the back of their heads and use feathers to make a rayed headdress. He dressed them with pandanus armbands and placed white bones through their noses. Then he taught them to dance, and they copied him until they were tired. A big storm was gathering, so all the people built humpies for shelter. 2 young men, the Bilbil or Rainbow Lorikeet brothers, came running in looking for shelter, but no one had room. They asked their grandmother, the Star Woman, but she said, "I have too many dogs. I can't help you boys." The Bilbil boys went to Gurialla and found him snoring in his humpy. When the boys called out, he yawned and said, "I have no room for you." The rain came heavier and the boys ran all about the camp looking for shelter, but no one would help them. The boys went back to Gurialla and called out that the rain was heavy. Gurialla said, "All right, you wait. I will make my humpy bigger." He opened his mouth wide, right up to the roof, and said, "All right, you can come in now." The Bilbil brothers ran into Gurialla's mouth and he swallowed them. Then he began worrying about what his people would do when they found the boys were missing. He decided to travel north to Borobanru, the only great natural mountain in the land. Next morning, the people asked each other who had given shelter to the Bilbil boys. They found the boys were gone and saw the tracks of Gurialla and knew he had swallowed them. The men took spears and followed after Gurialla. Gurialla travelled towards distant Borobanru, the mighty mountain which towered far up into the sky. When he reached the cliffs around its base, Gurialla crawled up them. He coiled up for a sleep, with the Bilbil boys inside him. The people followed Gurialla to the steep base of Borobanru. The men tried to climb the cliffs. Emu, turkey, brolga, tortoise, possum, barramundi. They all tried, but kept falling down again. 2 Wangu, or Trigoana brothers, came along. Gurinja, the emu, said to them, "We cannot climb this steep mountain." The Wangu said, "We will climb up to rescue the Bilbil boys." They each made a knife from quartz and began to climb the mountain. The Wangu brothers climbed for days and nights, and on reaching the top, found Gurialla fast asleep and snoring. They crept up to him, and the older brother said, "We will cut him open. You start down there, and I will start here." They cut until they reached the Bilbil boys, who had changed into beautiful parrots with all the colours of the Rainbow Serpent. The Wangu said, "You can come out. You are now rainbow lorikeets with wings and can fly away." The Bilbil birds flew away. The Wangu brothers ran down the mountain. Gurialla snored on until a cold wind blew through his empty stomach and woke him. He said, "Something is wrong with me," and looked about and saw where he had been cut and his dinner stolen. Gurialla became angry and worked himself into a great rage. He began to thresh about in fury, his long red tongue flashing like lightning, and the great mountain shook and thundered as Gurialla tore it apart in his anger. He hurled parts of the mountain all over the country to form the hills and mountains of today. All the people were terrified of the thunder on the mountain as Gurialla knocked it to pieces. Some of them were killed by flying stones. Others ran away to hide. turning themselves into all the kinds of animals, birds, insects and plant life that live in the country today. That is how it all happened back in Dreamtime. When Guriala's anger was spent, there was only a small hill remaining of the great mountain Borobanru. He went down and disappeared into the sea, where he remains to this day. Now the remaining people have to look after all the animals, all the living things which were men and women in the beginning, but who were too afraid of old Guriala to remain as people. The shooting star racing across the sky at night is the eye of Guriala, watching everybody. What a fantastic story. Let's take a closer look now at all the waterways we read about in the Rainbow Serpent. We're here at an inland waterway called Sweetwater Creek. At creeks, you can find lots of different things, like big slippery rocks in the water, large branches or fallen trees, as well as steep and slippery slopes. But what else can you see at the creek? We're here at Patterson River. What different dangers might you find at a river? Currents, undertows and fast-flowing water are some of the many dangers that you are unable to see at a river. Although the surface may look calm or slow-moving, underneath the water's surface, these undertows and strong currents are flowing fast downstream. That is why we always check the currents by entering the water slowly, feet first, and being mindful of slippery or uneven surfaces around or in the water. And remember to never swim alone. Some things that we need to be careful of when we're visiting a river are boats. We need to remember that we might be sharing this waterway with lots of different things. What other things do we need to be aware of when we're visiting a river? We're here at Listerfield Lake, an inland waterway. At this lake, we might find lots of different dangers, like rocks and trees or slippery banks, but we also have to be careful about the dangers that are hiding under the water that we can't see. So everyone, it's time for you to have a go at your own activity. Make sure you remember all the water safety messages we learned in today's episode, and we'll see you next time.